Greetings, everybody. Welcome for episode 3. We're at 3. And we are the Hardest Part is Getting Started podcast. I'm your host, Britt. And with me, of course, is our other host, Ange, or Angelina.
Either one.
Either one. You can find us on Rumble, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're available on all 3. And please like and follow so that way you can stay up to date with all of our episodes that we are posting. And of course, if there's ever a topic that you wish to have us touch base on, please let us know because, hey, we're all for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Today, our episode is all about mindset and why it's so important. So, getting into that, mindset. I don't want to say it's everything, but it's kind of a big deal.
A big deal.
Yeah, right. It's not looking down at the mud all the time and expecting to see beautiful, like crystal blue water. Like you got to change that perspective and outlook on things. So and it can be hard. I do understand that for a lot of people, depending on where you're coming from and where you're starting from. Mindset, it looks different for everybody. And coaches like myself and Angelina, we both get that and appreciate that. And that's our job, is to help you become the best you and giving you the tools that you require to see where your mindset's at currently, but also to how to improve it down the road. And for a lot of us, like getting a little bit personal about me, like I went through a divorce almost 3 years ago or 4 years. I've lost track of time. It was a bit anyways. And I usually, even before my divorce, was always glass full type of person, barely looked at the mud, things like that. But then going through that type of situation, I was looking down a lot more, but not all the time. But when things hit, they hit hard. And my mindset was my best friend and my enemy sometimes. And just having control of that and learning the signs and cues for that can ripple on to make better decisions and choices for and outcomes for yourself. How I found it was a great thing from another example would be from that, in a sense, because I went from having a partner for 12 years. I think my husband and I we were together for, it was like 12 years or something like that. And then just being me. So having that, right? So it was a big change, a lot of learning and things like that. And going through that learning is, in a way, how I found it. And kind of touching base on our previous episode, that discipline was also finding that discipline that if I don't take care of these things, well, hey, no one else is. Like, I'm sorry, my I was gonna say 3 dogs, but I don't have 3 anymore. I have more than that. But they're not gonna mop, they're not gonna vacuum, they're not gonna do laundry. If anything, they're gonna cause more of that. But so like those things were what I had to change my mindset partially with. And that's still too with my body, my eating habits, all of that is also mindset. Next topic will be a bit about comparison, I'm sure, but with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, all of the socials, they motivate us, which helps us. But if we're not in the mindset and have a strong mindset, we end up taking away a bit of that from us. So like me, I'm never going to be a figure competitor. I did it once, never again. Like I wish I could almost turn back time and not do that. But hey, I did it. I learned from it. It's not for me. Yeah. Oh yeah, you too. Like you're training for that as well. And it just this one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my mindset was there. I showed up for myself. I did it. I had the discipline and all that stuff. But then at the same time, I developed an eating disorder. I did a whole bunch of other things that were hindering myself in other aspects. And I was losing my mindset because my goal had shifted. I was no longer showing up for myself. I was showing up for something else altogether. And
Yeah.
it drastically changed. So having that check in with yourself and how your mindset is and where you're at with things is so vital and important for yourself and on all levels and forms.
Yeah.
And like, sorry if I kind of jump around, like stick with me. I promise I always come back to where my point was. I'm a person of like trying to get like the whole picture and show the whole picture if I can.
Yeah. I
But
gotcha.
thanks, girl. But like that's how I found it was like one like going through my divorce. Also too like trying out all these different things. Like I did these competitions, I did these challenges because I was in a sense building myself up again and showing myself that I can be that strong person for myself in other ways. Like yes, I can be the girl that can keep a home to her like herself. Like I can keep it standing still and maintain
Yeah.
it, take good
Yeah.
care of it, send it love, all that fun stuff. And I can do that for my body. I'm making it stronger and healthier and everything else. Like I
Yeah.
was trying from different angles and keeping that mindset in check, but then sometimes say something bad happened at work, it could flip me a little bit. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I'm looking down at the mud. I'm only seeing like I'm grumpy. I'm seeing like only negative stuff. Okay, what caused
Yeah.
that?
Right.
Why is that? Bring it back to, I don't want to say bring it back home, but you know what I mean? Like kind of
Yeah.
hone in on like, is this really something that is my problem or is this someone else's circus and someone else's monkey kind of thing?
Yeah.
Which I mention that a lot to my clients is okay, like these problems that you're coming to me with, are these actually even your problems? Because a lot of the time it's not, but they made it their
Right.
own. And
Right.
it's like you got to clean up your own side of the sidewalk and let the other side take care of itself kind of thing. Like sure, it might not
Yeah.
look pretty, but at least your side's gorgeous and it's well watered, it's well taken care of and so on. And I find a lot of us like with that whole people pleasing that has come up. Like, sure, you don't want to let your coach down. Sure, you don't want to let your friends down, your family down, your husband, wife, kids, whatever. At the
Yeah.
same time, though, your mindset has to be your mindset. It has to be your goal, your desired outcome, and what you want your life to look and be like, kind of thing. You can't just fit someone else's cookie cutter of how they want to see you because that's not your authentic you. And
Right.
it's just not sustainable. You can only fake it for so long. And then I'm sorry, the real you is
Yeah.
going to shine somehow or some way.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, mindset to me, I like, for you, it changed a lot because it was like instead of having to do these things, it was getting to do these things. And you almost are like, okay, you want to look at the things that you're grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
and those things can kind of propel you forward. So I thankfully, like you, Britt, we have gyms in our basements, so we
Yeah.
can go downstairs. I don't have that huge hurdle of an excuse because I can
Yeah.
work out when my kids are here. So for me, it's like I'm thankful for that. And I get to go down to my basement and work out. Like I don't have to drive to a gym. I don't have to do all these
Yeah.
extra steps. It's there.
Yeah.
So that mindset piece for me, it really came into play with nutrition because workouts for me kind of are a no-brainer. I've been working out since as long as I can remember. I'm 14. I started lifting weights. I played sports. I've ran. I played tennis. I did all the things. My mom kept us super active. So working out really wasn't a hard part for me, other than, getting older, having more responsibilities and fitting it in your day. For me, it was the nutrition piece. It was the part of like, I could go and get my workout in, but then, and it may have been some of those self-sabotaging behaviors. But for me to flip the script on the mindset of, like Britt said, why? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm putting the effort into my workout, but why am I then coming upstairs and eating like a pack of Oreos? You
Yeah.
know, One, am I craving it? Or am I kind of just like, oh, I just really like put everything into this workout and I deserve this and I deserve these Oreos. And over time, what I started to notice was I would start to make progress and I would self-sabotage myself. And I would just say, I would be like, you know, oh, I've been working so hard. I totally deserve like whatever it is. And sometimes it wasn't even that. Sometimes it was just, um, how do I put this? Like I would restrict so hard for so long, like with my food, you know, I would be spot on and I'd be so good. And then it was just like, I couldn't control it anymore. And I just go hog wild.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have that discipline, but I also changed my mindset as to being like, okay, I'm not going to restrict any sort of food, which I think is why I became like a macro coach. That's why I believe in macros for myself, for my clients, because when I started looking at food as just food, it's just fuel, right? It's not, the ice cream isn't going to make me feel better.
Exactly.
You know, it may be for a minute, you know, but then it's like, then you spiral into, why did I do that? You know, I can't believe it. And then for me, it would be that downward spiral of Oreos and then chips, and then we'd get pizza for dinner, and then I'm drinking a beer, and then it just slowly derailed myself because one, I wasn't in the right mindset, and two, I didn't have the discipline to cut myself off after a couple Oreos, right? So I was restricting myself for so long, and then I would just be like, forget it. I don't even care. And then I would start that spiral all over again. I'm going hardcore on Monday, and I'm not going to let anything derail me this week. And then something happens and boom. So mindset for me really switched when I said to myself, you know, I can have whatever I want. I can have pizza. I can have beer. I can have a cookie. Do I really want it? Is it going to help me get to where I want to be? And I think when I was able to stop myself and just say, no, I don't really want it. Like I'm not really craving this right now. And it just, I took that mindset piece to really hone in my nutrition. And I think it translated to other things for me in that I wasn't letting it control me anymore. You know, I wasn't letting like Nathan's barbecue.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he's going to be our topic for a lot of conversations. Just let Nathan and his barbecue.
Nathan has great barbecues. What can I say? But I think it's just like, I don't let it derail me anymore. It's like kind of the way that you talk to yourself, and the things that you say to yourself, they do matter, because if you're like, you go to Nathan's barbecue and you say, I can't have this. I can't have whatever he has set out, the chips and the pizza. Or you walk in saying, okay, I brought my own meal. I'm going to eat, you know, what I brought for my meal, but I did allow, you know, some space in my day for, you know, a cupcake. Those cupcakes, they look delicious. I'm going to have one. And you don't start beating yourself up about it. Like that's, I think, the biggest change is you're like, okay, I enjoyed it. I put it in. For me, I'm a tracker. Like I track everything. It's just a part of my world now. Mostly for me, I will say it's to make sure I get enough protein, because that's the biggest piece. But it flips that script in your brain. And the more you do that, and the more you just say to yourself, like, can I have it? And that's what I tell my clients. I'm like, you can have whatever you want. Do you really want it? And is it really going to get you to your goal? And I think that's ultimately, you know, and you say, yeah, I really do want it. And, you know, maybe it will hinder a little bit of my weight loss this week. Is it going to be worth it in the long run for your mental health? Then go for it, you know, and just know that it's not going to pull you all the way down. So, so yes, mindset I think is huge. And like you said, Britt, everything's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I mean, we know that like life isn't always giving us everything that we want, but when life does throw us a curveball, you know, how are we going to dust ourselves off, get back up and keep going, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's such a symptom of being human in a sense, if you think about it, right? Like it's the difference, like say with the nutrition is, are you going to let the floodgate open, or are you just going to let a little water out?
Right.
Have that little cupcake, or have that handful of chips, whatever. Right. But are you going to do that? Or are you going to go to a waffle bar and have every single type of waffle with everything? Like,
Oh, what's a
Everyone,
waffle bar? I've never even heard of a waffle bar.
well, they're delicious. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
But like, yeah, there's like a DIY or DIY, yeah. Like all the different types of waffles, and then like all the little thingamajiggies that you can put on them, and
Is
they're
this a
dangerous.
Canadian, is this a Canadian thing?
I think it's a Canadian thing because yeah, there's some places that do that. Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Well,
back when I ate that type of
have
stuff.
to work in the waffle bar when I come and visit. Just saying.
Yeah, that works. I'll lighten up my my eating habits for that, just because
We'll lift
waffles.
super hard and then we'll run.
There we
We'll
go.
get the waffle bar.
Yeah, make it so it's just nothing but fuel that day.
Yes.
Like another mindset, or yeah, it is strictly, I don't want to say strictly mindset, but is if you keep like with that whole self-sabotaging thing, and it takes you a longer time to get back to starting, not saying starting over, but in a sense it is starting over because you're learning something each time you do that, right?
Right.
The longer you go, the harder it's going to be, because the more you're going to process and take to get yourself back to starting over and counting things all over again, which yeah, it's part of like the discipline too, is just you go right back, like, okay, we won't do that again. Start at day one, or we don't have to call it day one, but it's day one, or however you want to sugarcoat it. I'm just trying to think of another. Again, mindset, it's for like, it's everything. It's emotional strength, it's physical strength, because like really mindset too, like if you're say with your phone a lot, and so like being social, and your friends or whichever want you to go out, and it's like, well, no, like I'm being disciplined for myself right now, like I'm showing up, I'm doing my workouts, I'm eating properly. Oh, but we miss you, we never see you, like I can go on. Or work was really draining and a long day, but it's like, okay, like you can be a sad panda, you can be sad all you want, but it's that, once again, discipline to show up for yourself. And then two, let's not look down and be all sad and grumpy and like, oh, I'm having a bad day and sad time for myself, and look up and be like, okay, I got this. This is what I need to do for me. What can I do to improve what happened today so I don't have to deal with that again? Or how can I lessen the blow of this affecting me for one? Like, because like sometimes, like depending on what type of work you have, like with me being in also with in the construction sector, stuff happens all the time. Like one thing is guaranteed, that construction is always changing. Like it's just and sometimes it can be exhausting and things like that, but it's like, okay, what did you, like, was this actually directed at you? No, so this is not really a you problem. And then on top of that, how is it affecting, like, is it really affecting you? Is it just because you have to fix it, or is it like really affecting you like in all forms that you can't be your authentic self anymore? Like that's just things to check in, and like I try to encourage people to check in with. And like you said earlier, your mindset, like if you think it, it's going to happen. So many times, like I'll throw an example, my mother, I laugh about it because if you were there, I'm not saying it was funny, but I laughed. But she's one of those people that, oh, I gotta drive slow through here because there's always I gotta look for deer, or like she's always looking for something, right? Like, oh, if you go here, we'll hang on to this because you could fall, or just that type of thing, right? So we're driving and she slows down. She's like, oh, I'm making sure that I'll be good to go if there's any deer. What do you know? She hits a deer. Like one comes out.
When you go out and you're like, if you're looking for a red car, like you're
gonna see a red car. Yeah, exactly. So her mindset put her, in a sense, she attracted what she didn't want to attract, but she attracted it. Right. And like the deer was fine. It got up and moved on, and the damage was hefty, but whatever, things happen. Yeah. Everyone was fine. But it's just, that was her mindset. She only thinks about like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Like, but like almost in the negative, but she was attracting the one thing that she did not want, because that's the only thing that she was thinking about. And
it's what she focused on.
Exactly. So if like you yourself, like as in like whoever is like, well, I'm not gonna get that, or like I'll never be as fit as you, I'll never look like you. Well, for one, you should never want to look like somebody because you're you, and they got their own problems that they're not telling you.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, don't put yourself in that mindset of like, I want to be or do, or I can't be like you, or can't do this and I can't do that, I can't do that. It's like, well, what can you do?
What can you do? Yeah.
Let's focus on that. And then eventually, hey, you know what? You're going to be able to either do that handstand, you're going to be able to run that 5K, you're going to be able to do whatever, quilt.
Yeah.
Something random, but yeah, that's not necessarily just fitness related, but
yeah, no, for sure.
Like it's just so many are so small, and it's like, no, don't be small, think big. Like,
yeah,
like if you're only focused here, you're only going to get like literally right here, and if you don't broaden, you're not going to grow as a human yourself, and then you're stuck in that small experience, and that's not what we're meant here to be and doing.
Right.
Like,
well,
at least I feel that way.
Like, yeah, no, for sure. I think one of the things too with mindset, and say you do have a specific goal that you're working on, you know, we're health and wellness coaches and fitness coaches, so we kind of always come back to weight loss or gaining strength or getting faster, whatever it is. I think one of the things is we're so trained to just look at like all the things we don't get to do or don't get to have. And we stop and take a look at like, okay, for me, like when somebody tells me, like they send me a message and they're like, oh, you inspired me to go for a walk today. And I'm like, oh, you know, just kind of like brightens your day. So,
oh yeah,
you know, it's like where maybe I was really like dreading the workout that I did, and maybe I wasn't going to like share that I did that workout today. You know, it just like the ripple effect, like you said, from last episode, you know, you never really know who else you're inspiring around you, what other things you're changing around you. And, you know, if you flip your mindset to, you know, like, I get to work out, I get to be the motivator for my friends, I get to be the healthy example for my family, I get to cook a healthy meal. You know, like for me, cooking food like went from being like this huge chore. I was like, oh, I cook. Now it's like I get to put together healthy meals for myself, for my family. Like I get to do that, and it really just changes that. And I think the one piece that, you know, we were saying is feeling like you're missing out on things is we often forget to realize that it's temporary, right? Like, so I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to run faster. I want to lift heavier. You're eventually going to get there. Whatever you're doing to get to that goal, it's temporary, right? You don't have to live your life like that forever. You don't always have to say no to all of the things, but you're disciplining yourself because this is something that you want for yourself. So exactly. It's kind of like that mindset. Just real quick, I want to touch on something I did mention last week. So master your mindset is such a big piece for me. I wrote a 12-week guided journal, and it's available on Amazon. It's just called Master Your Mindset. And you can purchase it on there. If you have any questions about it, you can reach out. I use it with my clients when we start working one-on-one together. I use it for myself. And I think it's just super important to point out that like writing things down, like for me, like I'm still a pen to paper kind of person, where I like to see my goals written out every month. I print out a new calendar. I write out my workouts. I write what my goals are for the month. I'm just such a visual person, that I think when I put this together, my goal was that someone's going to fill it out, and there's pages in here, you know, where you can go back, like you can take this page out really if you wanted to and hang that up somewhere. Or I'm working with a client right now. She's I think we're in week 14. So she's completed her journal, but she's like, I go back and I'll read through some of those pieces when I feel like I'm struggling. So however you want to do it, you know, like I said, I'm pen to paper. If you have a notepad on your phone and you're more of like, I'm going to type it. I like to voice memo, however you do it, keep track of the things that you say, keep track of the triggers, keep track of you know, the things that bring you down. So then you notice the next time it comes around, it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then it just becomes habit. And then I think it just becomes part of who you are. And I think
totally.
that's ultimately, that's what we want for our mindset. We just want it to be second nature. And it's who we are. That's how we live our lives, you know?
Yeah. And it all starts with like you essentially to begin with, right? Like it's you, the desire that wants, or you having the desire to change something and realizing that there's something just not quite right and you're working on improving it, whatever that may be for you, kind of.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, agree. So, the last thing we kind of wanted to just touch on was we are going to be hosting a 28-day transformation challenge. And mindset is going to be a piece of that challenge. So, we are going to be launching it on September 18th, but we'll be putting out info before that. So if you have any questions or you want to know a little bit more about that challenge before we release it, feel free to shoot us an email. Like we said, we're both on Instagram. All of the details will be listed below, so you can, or listed, you know, in the information, so you can reach out and find us if you need us. So, yeah, we just thank you guys so much for being here. We really like talking about all these different things with you, and hope that like just little pieces of it kind of stick with you. And even if you come back and listen again, or share with us what your thoughts and your feelings are on these episodes, you know, we really want to take to heart what you guys are saying. And like Britt mentioned, if you guys want to share with us anything that you want to hear about, we would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we just want to be at service, like somehow that we can be to everybody. And it's going to be different for everyone. Like some people, it may be that whole motivational mindset, discipline work. Others might be more of a fitness type of spiel. Like, everyone's going to be a little different and starting out at different levels and all different walks of life, which is pretty cool. And we are, I think the reason why Angelina and I mesh so well is that we're both like we come from different walks ourselves and different experiences, different things that we like and go for, but at the same time, we both have the same passion, and we're both there for each other because we have that same passion, and we just want to have that for you guys as well. And yeah, it's pretty cool that we're already at like episode 3. Like this is awesome. I know.
It's exciting. So, yeah, we want to be that voice for you, you know, when you're struggling a little bit, that you're like, something pops into your mind that you heard and you're like, all right, I'm going to try one more time. Or, you know, maybe you do feel a little bit inspired and then you go out and you inspire somebody else. Like we really want to be that for you guys. Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And like, we're just as perfectly imperfect as you are. And that's 100%. The best part of life. Like, it's cool. Like we have our times too. Don't you worry. But we show back up for ourselves.
We did. And we share that with each other, and, you know, we help each other like push past it. And
like, I think even too, like in our posts, like online, like we have no problem saying like, well, that didn't work or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
Or at least I know I do. Like I'm pretty like, I can be private, but at the same time, like I have no problem when it comes to my walk of what I'm here to do. I have no problem saying what I've learned along the way.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I should really share more of my, I don't know.
The oopsies.
You know, it's like, we're not perfect. So we're just here to be ourselves and, you know, inspire.
Exactly. With that being said, like I want to thank everyone for joining us for today's episode. And next week, we are going to be discussing the topic of comparison and how it's the thief of joy. Like, just don't do it. Like, I don't want, we'll talk about it, but basically the episode's going to be like, don't do it.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm excited to talk about that one.
Me too,
so thank you so much. We know that getting started is the hardest part, but we are here to help you, and we're sending you all our love.
Bye.